What's up? Welcome back to the channel, Detroit Poker. In this video, we're going to be talking about a pretty big pot that I played over at Motor City Casino. But before we get into that, I want to just remind you one last time about my meetup game this Thursday, December 5th, 2019 at MGM Grand in Detroit at 7 p.m. We're going to be playing 1-2 No Limit Hold'em, probably until the wee hours of the morning. So I hope to see you there. There is more information available on Bravo, and you can call the poker room and pre-register for the meetup game. So yeah, it'd be great to see you there, and hopefully we have a good turnout. We are on the button. We have approximately 1.6K, maybe a little less, and we get dealt red pocket kings. So obviously pretty excited about this. And very quickly, that excitement is turning to terror because the action is quickly folding to us. And ultimately, the last guy in the cutoff makes the fold, and the only person that's left is the blinds. So this is not ideal, but it's whatever. We're going to put in a raise and hopefully get some action. So we make it pretty standard, 3x, $15. And the small blind is kind of hesitating just a couple of seconds. And he clicks the min 3 bet to 30. So he bumps it up to $30, and obviously I'm kind of liking this already. And now the big blind is hesitating, and the big blind says raise, and he puts in a cold 4 bet to $105. And now the action's back on us, and this guy in the big blind, I don't know much about him. I've been sitting with him for approximately 45 minutes, and he just seems kind of tight. That's pretty much the only read I have on him. He's definitely a recreational player. So, I mean, that being said, so small blind's playing about 800, and the big blind looks to be playing around, I don't know, 1,200 behind. I'm just guessing 1,000 to 1,200. His chips are stacked really strange, and it's definitely tough to tell how much he has because it's just, towers of chips, whatever. I don't even know, whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking about what the best course of action is, and I guess we could put in a 5-bet because it's kind of a weird spot, but I think we're drastically going to decrease the number of combinations that this guy will have. We put in a 5-bet, and I think it's probably best to just flat call, and it will definitely disguise our hand as well. So we'll definitely be under-repped if we flat here. That's what we decided to do, is make the call for 105, and oddly enough, the small blind just pretty much snap folds. So we're going to go off to the flop, heads up with the guy in the big blind. The flop comes out 2-4-5 with 2 spades and a club. Gentleman in the big blind announces 130, and he kind of rifles these chips across the line. Like when he places the bet, it's 5 green chips and a red, and he flings them out in front of him, so it makes like a line of chips or whatever. And I just remember thinking that he was putting some flair on this bet or whatever, and I just don't really understand why he's doing that or what it indicates, because I haven't played with him long enough to know yet. So I digress. I'm sitting there thinking about what to do, and on one hand, I think a flat call would be good, but on the other hand, there could be a fair amount of action-killing turn cards. Like if this guy has, like for example, pocket tens, and the turn comes a jack or a queen or something, and it's just all weird, or it comes a spade, or it comes a 4 straight. Like there's a lot of bad cards that could come that could kill action. So I decided to kind of put in the raise because if this guy has an overpair, he's not going to fold. If he has a flush draw, he's not going to fold that. And I definitely think there's value to be had. So bump it up to 350. And the action's back on the big blind. And this time we've definitely got his attention now. And he asks us, did you flop a set? And I never engage when people ask me stuff like this. I just kind of sit there and just pick a spot at the table, and I just stare at it blankly, and I just don't say a word, and I just hold my cards. And he deliberates for a few seconds longer, and he just says, it's whatever. I'm all in. And he hits us with the all in. And then, once again, I kind of, he puts a stack of green over the line, and I kind of take a look at all his chips and trying to estimate how much he has. And really looks like, 1,000 to 1,200 in that range. And it would probably take the dealer 60 seconds to count it up. It's close enough, 1,000 to 1,200. So I definitely have a decision to make, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, okay, what's the type of hands that this guy would have here? And the first thing I thought about was aces is definitely a possibility. It would be very, very unfortunate for us if he had aces. And he could have, like a nut flush draw type of hand. And, he does have a lot of equity if he has a flush draw as well. And we definitely do not block any flush draws. We don't have a king of spades or anything like that. So flush draw is definitely on the table. And then I started asking myself, would he ever do this with tens, jacks, or queens? And I'm like, yeah, probably. I've seen people overplay overpairs like this before. So I don't really like it very much, but I decided to make the call and say call. And the dealer counts the chips up and it ends up being 1,230 total. So on the high side of our estimate. But whatever. We made the call. So we're going to the river. Heads up. And all the action is closed. And turn comes off a 9. And the river comes a queen. And our opponent kind of just sits there for a second or two. And he says, I just have aces. And he tables pocket aces. And we're going to lose this pretty substantial pot, kings versus aces. And yeah, it stung a little bit. Been running pretty bad all month. Basically been breaking even. So here we go again. We were up, and now we're up stuck. So I got one more hand to go over, and yep, so let's get into that. I'd love to hear your comments about this hand, so put them down below. Let's get into the next one. All right, so this hand is mere moments later. Same orbit. We are under the gun 1 now, and we have reloaded to $800 even, which is the table maximum, and the under the gun straddle is on for $10, and we are first up, and we get dealt pocket fives, so we bump it up to $30, pretty standard, 3x. This table is not really super active the last orbit or two, and definitely think that we can get away with this. So that being said, the action pretty quickly folds around to the small blind, who is a competent regular, pretty tight player here. And small blind decides to bump it up. $30 is not enough, so they raise it up to $80 total. And pretty quickly, the action folds to us. And here we are in the middle of another spot brewing. So kind of take a look at small blind's chips, and it looks like, they're playing maybe 500 back, maybe slightly over. So I'm not in love with this, 10-1 implied odds or whatever, but I think it's close enough. I'm not in the business for folding pocket fives for $50. Make the call for $80 total, and we're going to go off to the flop. Heads up. The flop comes out. I remember looking at the cards while they were in the dealer's hand, and there's a 5 right in the door, and dealer fans the cards out, and it ends up being 5-5-9. So that's pretty good for pocket fives. Just flop quads. That's pretty cool, right? So things are looking up. Just lost a big hand, and now we flop quads on this poor person in the small blind. So that being said, small blind comes out with a bet, 120, and the action's on us, and we're just looking to get the Academy Award nomination for Best Actor and Best Picture, whatever. So just kind of hesitate a little bit, do the chip dance, do my thing. This player in the small blind is watching me right now, so trying to sell this, and ultimately after about 5 seconds, maybe a little more, just make the call casually, and we're going to go off to the turn. Heads up, and turn comes an 8 of spades, and small blind does hesitate a few seconds and taps the table, indicating a check. And I'm sitting there thinking again, what should I do here? And what it's looking like is I'm not even sure if the small blind has anything. So that being said, I don't think we should bet here. However, once again, I'm trying to kind of Hollywood a little bit. Small blind is watching me, so I do my best to kind of look unsure. I start fumbling with my chips, I'm considering placing a bet, and then hesitate a couple seconds longer and ultimately just check. So we're off to the river. Heads up. And the river comes another 9 of clubs. And small blind hesitates a couple seconds and places a bet. It is 9 green chips, $225. And just sit there for just a few seconds and announce all in verbally. I don't think the player's going to fold at this point. They've committed a lot of their chips. So that being said, small blind does look a little bit surprised. and does hesitate for a couple seconds, but ultimately makes the call pretty quick verbally. Does not put the chips into the middle, so this is a good sign. We table our quads, and we're hoping that our opponent will reveal that they have pocket nines, and that would be quads over quads and the bad beat jackpot, and that would be fantastic, and money would rain from the heavens, but ultimately our opponent just mucks and tells us nice hand. So unknown hand from the small blind. I think we probably had an overpair, maybe called us with ace high. I don't know, but it's whatever. Certainly happy about this, and we're only stuck a little bit, like maybe $50 now. So that's pretty much been the way my entire month has gone since returning to the grind from my short stint as a painting professional. Up, down, up, down, up, down, breaking even. So pretty stressful in general, but I guess it just depends how you look at it. This was a pretty fortunate event to happen just moments after I just lost a bunch of money with kings, and we're right back in the game. So pretty happy about this hand, but to be honest, in real time, I wasn't that happy because I was still kind of like stung from the pocket kings, and I was kind of wondering to myself, did I make the wrong decision? Should I have folded the flop? And I was still kind of like shell shocked from that pocket kings a little bit, so I didn't even really get full joy out of flopping quads on somebody. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, so I'm going to have to work on the outlook and positivity, but it's whatever. Drop me some comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on either of these hands, and I respond to most of the comments unless you tell me that I'm an idiot or whatever. Sometimes I just don't respond to those. So ended up losing $250, I think, in the session. Not sure the exact amount. I'll look at this and I'll post it in the screen or whatever. Lost $200 and something in this session. Ultimately, wasn't able to turn it around and book a win or anything like that, but definitely could have been worse. So anyways, head over to the website, DetroitPoker.net. I have some t-shirts on there, and also I'm getting blue hoodies in stock within the next couple of days by the meetup game, which I hope to see you at the meetup game December 5th, 2019, Thursday, at MGM Grand in Detroit, 7 p.m. See the Bravo page for more info and call the poker room to register. Love to see you there. Subscribe if you like my content, and ring the bell, and you'll get notifications when I upload new videos. Don't forget, mash that like button, and I love to hear comments from you, so don't forget, post a comment. I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.